Welcome back to another Flights of Fancy video and a tongue-in-cheek production.
So what are we up to today, Tom?
Good question. Today we're on a sightseeing trip.
Who are we taking out this week?
Well, we're in for a treat. It's a works outing, so I've arranged for us to go on a tour of Duxford to see how the Lancaster is doing prior to its release.
Sounds like a busman's holiday to me.
So no flying this week.
We should have time at the end for a flight in the Huey.
Wish I'd known we weren't in the studio today, but I'll get changed there.
Of course, and what could possibly go wrong?
Halt. It's the FP. Please state your business.
G'day, officers. I'm Tom, and I'm here with our troupe of actors, plus our driver, Scott.
I do a lot more than that.
We've come to have a bit of a look around the museum.
A look around? For what purpose?
We are a troupe of actors who enjoy highlighting aircraft.
Enjoy it. I'll have to peruse my rulebook when I get back to the van. And check to see if this is activity conducive to maintaining appropriate levels.
Levels?
Yes, we have to stick to a strict parameter for defining fun.
Sure, it will be fine, but if you need us, we'll be in the museum checking out the Lancaster.
Let's hope that's the last we see of them.
I heard that.
Oops.
Well, here we are at Duxford. Always a pleasure. The sun's shining, the birds are singing, and the smell of historic aviation is in the air.
We have scratch and sniff now.
And hopefully they have some refreshments ready. I'm absolutely parched. I'll pop the kettle on. My mouth is as dry as a badger's. Oh, that's nice. They've laid out some of the biscuits. You know the ones Soul's been baking?
That will please Mavis.
Can you hear that?
That's one of the Brian Ayres rent-a-bike schemes.
Let's hope the mic...
Are you talking to me?
No, the microphone. I hope it doesn't pick that noise up.
Not a chance with this cheap old equipment. How's the upgrade looking?
Very nice.
Eyes up here, laddie.
How come Mick's the only one to go 3D? It's not fair.
I think his credits ran out, but I'm sure we'll all get the upgrade eventually. Right, Dick?
Indeed. Plus, there's more of an incentive to work on Mick, and I'm guessing she's the star of the show.
Bit rude.
Well, I must say it's quite a thrilling experience to be in 3D. The depth, the realism, it's incredible.
Just don't let it go to your head, Mick.
Wouldn't dream of it.
I guess I'll just have to wait my turn.
Patience, my friend, patience.
In the meantime, how about we run through the lines again?
Do we have to?
Practice makes perfect, and we want to be perfect for the fun police, don't we?
I guess so.
All right, everyone, places please. Let's make this the best April Fool's sketch yet.
Stop. Please state your purpose.
Sorry, who are you?
It's the FP. I'm PC head.
And I'm WPC head.
Do we still call them WPCs anymore?
It's not real, so get over it.
Touchy?
Back to the script.
G'day, officers. I'm Tom, and I'm here with our troupe of actors. We've come to explore the museum, take in the sights, learn a bit about aviation history.
Explore? To what end? What are your intentions? Are you planning any unsanctioned merriment?
I'll need to consult my rulebook when I return to the van and verify if this activity aligns with maintaining appropriate levels.
Levels?
Indeed. We have strict parameters for defining fun. There are acceptable levels, and then there's unadulterated, spontaneous, potentially chaotic fun. That kind we must curtail.
I think we've arrived into a no-fun zone.
Officers, I assure you we pose no threat to the fun equilibrium. We're simply here to appreciate the aircraft and perhaps draw some inspiration for our theatrical endeavors.
Theatrical endeavors? Are those on the approved list? Pin, check Appendix 3, subsection 12.
Certainly, Dick, I'm on it. But this could take a while. There are a lot of subsections.
In the meantime, perhaps we could, I don't know, admire the Spitfire?
Admire? That sounds borderline, but I suppose it's within acceptable parameters. For now. Hold it right there. What's all this then?
We've just popped inside to enjoy a stroll around the Lancaster in the museum.
Just enjoying it, you say? For what purpose exactly?
Well, as we mentioned, we're actors, and we have a particular fascination with the Lancaster. In fact, we're researching it for a future video, when it's released.
More of an if than a when.
Fascination? I'll need to consult the regulations and see if that level of interest is permissible.
Regulations?
Indeed. We have very specific guidelines about what constitutes acceptable levels of fun. You wouldn't want to be in violation, now would you?
No, officer, we certainly wouldn't.
look. Now let's see. Aviation exhibit. Historical aircraft. Interactive displays. This all seems rather stimulating.
I told you, we should have gone to the Pottery Museum instead.
Maybe we should just look at the gift shop and leave.
I'm sure it'll be fine. We're not causing any trouble.
Ah, here we are. No excessive enthusiasm. That could be a problem.
But we're just genuinely interested in the subject matter.
Genuinely interested. That sounds suspiciously like enjoyment. And enjoyment, my friends, must be strictly regulated.
Oh, joy. We're hardly going to start a conga line through the Spitfires, are we? Though, now you mention it.
Mick, behave yourself. We just want to see the exhibits. It's historical, educational, perfectly normal.
Normal, a subjective term, wouldn't you agree? Our mandate is to ensure that activities remain within acceptable parameters of non-exuberance.
Absolutely. We understand completely. We're also rather keen to see the Huey. We were hoping to maybe take a flight. For research purposes, of course.
A fun flight in a helicopter? That sounds suspicious. Please elaborate on this research.
Yes. Well, we're documenting the aerodynamic properties in relation to historical narratives. You know, for posterity.
You're not helping.
A historical narrative involving low and fast flying, perhaps? We've had reports. Such activities can lead to uncontrolled outbreaks of amusement amongst observers.
Look, we're just a few chaps.
And chapesses.
Who appreciates aviation history and the engineering marvel of the Huey? It's not as if we're planning on herding actors with it again.
Hurting actors? Please explain.
It's a metaphor for the challenges of directing creative individuals, perfectly normal in the artistic world.
We'll just need to take down a few items, madam. I need to see your ID.
Why's that?
Well, it's your outfit. Well, you are dressed inappropriately.
What do you mean inappropriately? I've come straight from work and not had a chance to change yet.
Thought you lot were actors.
It's all part of the period piece I'm working on.
And you have to dress like that?
Indeed, I'm in the middle of filming a biopsy of Benny Hill.
I believe you meant biography.
No, I'm only taking a small part. A few vital snippets.
Do they have any roles left?
Afraid not, Dave. The role for a frail old man with no hair has already been taken.
Bit rude. You do know my role as MC had a standing ovation in the West End in Mr. Tarantino's version of Cabaret.
But I've got to get changed anyway, so I'll be back in no time at all.
Very convenient. I'm not sure we are doing anything illegal, are we, officer?
Maybe not. But we've had complaints of laughter, and it's been confusing the audience.
It's funny that there's never any laughter when you're around.
And that's the way we like it.
And said without a glimpse of irony.
And what is your name, sir?
Don't tell them, Soul.
It's Saul. I'll just write that down.
These biscuits are a bit crumbly, and I've heard that even inhaling them can produce moments of euphoria.
Mavis always said that these were her favourite and very good for your nerves by all accounts. You better be careful where you aim them.
Oops, too late.
Oh, can you two get a room?
Right then, where is Scott? He said he'd meet us here?
Morning, gang and officers. I'm just meeting a few friends for a strictly procedural aviation enthusiast gathering. So nothing to see here.
Hello there. Lovely day for some serious aircraft maintenance discussion.
Yeah, dead serious, like a funeral.
Right, team, shall we proceed to the Huey appraisal section of our gathering?
A helicopter, operated by Brian Air. Their motto is, well, it's disconcertingly casual. This warrants further scrutiny.
All right, is everyone strapped in? Let's conduct this entirely regulation-compliant flight.
Ready when you are, Captain. Just going through the pre-flight boredom checklist.
Look at them down there, they're following us.
Huey aircraft, this is the FP mobile unit. Your flight path appears suspiciously dynamic. Maintain a strictly linear trajectory and avoid any unnecessary aerial maneuvers that might induce feelings of exhilaration.
Right, let's show them what a strictly linear and utterly unexhilarating flight looks like, with a few minor deviations for navigational accuracy.
We're circling them, like a big metal dragonfly.
They're performing aerobatic adjacent maneuvers. This is a clear attempt to generate amusement. Pull up, you're creating a sense of unnecessary speed and proximity. We demand you cease this potentially enjoyable activity immediately.
Well, that was certainly, something.
They look like they've seen a ghost, or worse, a good time.
Looks like our strictly procedural flight had some unexpected consequences. Feels like our little flight of fancy gave the fun police a bit of a fright.
Even a dance lesson.
I think we might have accidentally defund the police.
So, April Fools to you joyless lot. Just need to a bit of padding out, so we'll stick a podcast on and see you in the next one.
Gemini, is it true?
Is what true?
That AI is like all other visual media platforms, won't become popular until it can be used to access porn. From the frescoes on the walls of Pompeii, to the first black and white photographs, silent movies, Polaroid instant film, home recording systems like VHS and even the internet itself. Is this the case?
Analyzing historical trends in visual media adoption. Correlation between the early widespread use of visual platforms hosting adult content and rapid user base growth observed in multiple instances. Projecting similar trajectory for advanced AI visual platforms based on current internet user behaviors. Probability of Mav's assertion being statistically significant. 87.3%.
Even the bleeding extras are in 3D.
Supporting cast, actually, and we play a vital role in the overall production.
Still not fair.
Welcome to our viewer, and today we have a new podcast for your perusal. So let's go straight over to Tess and Al.
Okay, so let's start with this name, Tom Ploy.
Right.
Turns out it's not just some, made-up name, you know?
Right.
It's actually a pretty clever play on words based on the French term trompe-l'œil.
Trompe-l'œil. Literally, trick the eye.
Okay.
It's this art technique all about creating illusions. You know those paintings that are so realistic
Yeah.
that you actually think you're seeing a 3D object or even like a whole scene
Right.
on a flat surface?
Right.
Like, those murals you see that make a room look bigger?
Yeah, those are cool.
Yeah, that's a perfect example.
So it's all about, messing with your perception, making you question what's real and what's not.
Exactly.
At least, visually. And to start off with a name that has this whole idea of illusion built into it,
Right.
well, it makes you wonder if maybe, this idea of things not being what they seem
Right.
could pop up in other places in the stuff we've been looking at.
That's an interesting thought.
Okay, so have you ever, just wanted to go somewhere, have a simple good time,
Yeah.
and then things just kind of, get weird?
Oh, yeah, all the time. I feel like
Yeah.
that's kind of the baseline state of existence, isn't it?
Yeah, well, we have got a story for you today that is just that, and it all revolves around this idea of fun.
Fun.
Such a loaded concept.
It really is, and especially when someone's trying to, enforce it on you.
Yeah, who decides what's fun, right?
Exactly.
I mean, for me, fun is, staying up late, reading a good book.
Yeah,
But for someone else, it might be like jumping out of a plane.
Right.
So who gets to decide?
right. And that's what we're going to dive into today. And we've got a whole bunch of stuff to look at. We've got some notes. We've got some dialogue. We've even got some future tech stuff, all centered around this idea of fun being, kind of co-opted.
Yeah, that's interesting because on one hand, you have this idea of fun being something that's spontaneous and free.
Right.
But then on the other hand, you have this attempt to control it.
To regulate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, to regulate it. To kind of put it in a box and say, this is what fun is and this is what fun isn't.
Yeah, and it's all happening at Duxford,
Duxford, you mean?
the Imperial War Museum.
Oh, wow. Okay, so we're talking about a historical setting?
Yeah.
A place where you go to learn about the past?
Right.
And yet you're saying there's this element of fun, police trying to control people's enjoyment.
Exactly. And our group, Tom and Mike and Saul and everyone,
Right.
they head to Duxford to see this Lancaster.
Lancaster bomber.
Yeah, ahead of its release.
Oh, it's release.
Oh,
So
yeah.
is this a video game tie-in or something?
Yeah, it's featured in Sniper Elite. So there's this real world anticipation for it.
Okay, so that's interesting. Right away, you have this blurring of lines between the digital and the physical world.
Right.
This virtual plane is being released, and it's generating excitement in the real world.
And that's where the whole thing kind of starts to get weird.
Yeah, because I'm guessing this release doesn't involve actual bombs.
No, nothing like that. But Saul makes this comment about it being a busman's holiday.
Busman's holiday. Now that's an interesting phrase.
Right.
It implies that, for Saul at least, this trip to Duxford isn't entirely leisure.
Yeah, it's like work mixed with pleasure.
Right, maybe Saul's job or hobbies have something to do with aviation history, so even though it's a day out, it's still kind of familiar territory.
And before they can even get into the museum, they run into these, well, let's just call them the fun police.
Fun police? Okay, so we're not talking about, like, actual law enforcement here.
No, this is something else entirely.
We're like overzealous event staff or something.
Yeah, something like that. But with a very specific agenda, and it starts right at the entrance with these two officers, Dick and Pin.
Okay, Dick and Pin.
They start questioning the group about their purpose for visiting Duxford.
Purpose for visit. See, that right there is a red flag.
Right, like what are you really doing here?
Exactly. It suggests that they're suspicious of anything that's not explicitly defined and sanctioned.
Right, and they're worried about appropriate levels of fun.
Appropriate levels, as if you could measure fun with a ruler.
Right, and they're concerned about unsanctioned merriment.
Unsanctioned merriment. So there is like approved fun.
Apparently, and they even have a rule book.
A rule book for fun.
Wow. And they pull it out to see if the group's purpose is permissible.
So they're not just concerned about what people are doing, they're concerned about the why behind it.
Exactly, and it just gets weirder inside the museum.
So the fun police follow them in.
Oh yeah, they're not letting up.
Okay, so what kind of shenanigans do they get up to inside?
Well, the group is like, looking at the planes, talking about them.
Right, admiring the exhibits.
And they use the word fondness.
Fondness. Okay, so they're expressing positive feelings towards these historical aircraft?
Yeah, and the fun police immediately jump on that.
Like, what do you mean by fondness?
Right, what's a level of fondness? Is it appropriate?
Oh, come on.
And out comes the rule book again.
These guys are serious about regulating fun.
Dead serious. And Mike even makes a comment about it being a no-fun zone.
A no-fun zone. Well, that about sums it up.
It really does, and it's just so funny, this whole thing.
It is, because it's taking this tendency, we all recognize, this kind of bureaucratic overreach.
Right.
And it's exaggerating it to the point of absurdity.
And it's like these historical planes, these symbols of history and power.
Right.
And the fun police are trying to regulate people's enthusiasm for them.
Yeah, you're not allowed to be too excited about a Lancaster bomber.
Apparently not. Okay, so now the group decides to go see the Huey.
A Huey helicopter?
Yeah, and they're talking about maybe taking a flight.
And how do they frame this potential flight?
As research.
Research, of course.
Stuff for a project.
Right. Top secret stuff.
And the fun police are immediately suspicious.
Like, what kind of research are we talking about here?
Yeah, they're worried about unnecessary aerial maneuvers.
Unnecessary aerial maneuvers.
And get this, they're concerned about inducing feelings of exhilaration.
Feelings of exhilaration. So, basically, they're against anything that might be remotely thrilling or exciting.
Exactly. And it's at this point that the whole thing kind of takes off.
Literally.
Literally, they get into this Brian Air helicopter.
Brian Air. Okay, so this is like the Uber of helicopters.
Yeah, exactly. Something like that. And their motto is disconcertingly casual.
Disconcertingly casual. I love it.
And as soon as they're in the air, the fun police give chase.
In what, like a squad car?
No, they've got like some kind of all-terrain vehicle.
Okay, so they're determined to keep up with this helicopter.
Oh, yeah. And they're on the radio giving commands.
Like, what? Maintain a steady altitude.
Right, no sudden movements, and they're freaking out because Tom, the pilot, is doing these like minor deviations.
Minor deviation.
Just to kind of like see what the Huey can do.
Right, just a little test of its capabilities.
And the fun police are interpreting these as aerobatic adjacent maneuvers.
Aerobatic adjacent maneuvers.
Mm-hmm.
I love that phrasing.
Right, and they're worried about unnecessary speed and proximity.
So basically, they're terrified of anything that resembles fun.
Pretty much. And then there's this moment where the group looks into an office building.
From the helicopter?
Yeah, and the fun police, who are like, I guess, watching from below, they have this terrified reaction.
Terrified? What are they so scared of?
It's like they're seeing something that they can't comprehend.
Like people just going about their day.
Right, people working, talking, laughing.
Spontaneous, unmonitored fun.
And it's like their whole system is short-circuiting.
Because they can't control it.
Exactly. And then comes the big reveal.
The twist.
It was all an April Fool's prank.
The whole thing.
The fun police.
Yeah.
Chase everything.
Wow, so they really committed to the bit.
They did, but even though it was a joke, it does raise some interesting questions.
About like the nature of fun and who gets to define it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And speaking of interesting things, let's talk about Mike and this 3D upgrade.
3D upgrade. So we're getting into the behind-the-scenes stuff now.
Yeah, this is where it gets meta.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
So there's this backstage dialogue where Saul is like kind of envious of Mike.
Envious one.
Because Mike is the only one who's in 3D.
3D, you mean like a 3D model?
Yeah, like a more realistic digital representation.
So is this like a new technology you're using?
Yeah, and it sounds like it's a pretty big deal.
And Soul is feeling left out?
Well, there's this mention of credits running out.
Credits like budget.
Yeah, and that Mike being the star of the show, so she got the upgrade first.
Ah, so there's a hierarchy even in the digital world.
And Mike is loving it. She's like, the depth, the realism, it's incredible.
She's fully embracing the 3D experience.
Oh, yeah, and the interesting thing is that they mentioned that eventually even the supporting cast will get the upgrade.
So it's not just a one-off thing, it's an ongoing process.
Right. Everyone's going to be 3D eventually.
Which makes sense, right, if you're trying to create a more immersive world.
Exactly. And this ties into something else. We came across this exchange with Gemini AI.
Gemini AI, that's the new Google AI, right?
Yeah, they call it Gem for short.
Gem. Okay, so what's this exchange all about?
Well, Mav asks this really provocative question.
Oh, Mav, always stirring the pot.
He asks Gem about the potential link between AI's popularity and adult content.
Wow, okay, that's getting straight to the point.
Right, he's drawing a parallel to historical trends in visual media.
Like how new technologies often get adopted quickly if there's adult content available.
Exactly, and Gem's response is fascinating.
What does Gem say?
Well, Gem analyzes all these historical adoption patterns.
For different visual media platforms.
Yeah, and it finds a statistically significant correlation between the early availability of adult content and rapid user base growth.
So basically, Mav's onto something.
Yeah, and then Gem goes on to say that based on current internet user behavior, there's a high probability of this happening with advanced AI visual platforms too.
So we might see a surge in AI adoption driven by, well, you know.
Yeah, and what's really interesting for us is that it ties directly into this whole 3D upgrade thing.
Oh, so?
Well, we explicitly state that we're going to be turning our 2D characters into 3D characters. As soon as VEO2 is released into the Google Studio.
VEO2? Now that's something I'm not familiar with.
It's this new technology that's supposed to make it easier to create and manage 3D characters.
So it's like the pipeline for a 3D evolution.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And it's all tied together, you know, the AI, the 3D, the whole thing.
It's like we're on the verge of a major shift in how we create and experience digital content.
And it's happening right under our noses.
Speaking of happening under our noses, what about that glitter incident?
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Remind me what happened again.
Okay, so Mike is like, you know, right in front of the fun police officers.
Okay.
And she leans forward and blows glitter at them.
She blows glitter at them. Why?
I don't know. It's Mike.
Fair enough.
But it's just this, like, you know, unexpected act of defiance.
And how do the fun police react?
They kind of like freeze up.
Shocked.
Yeah, and Soul makes this comment about them needing to get a room.
So even in the face of this strict authority figure,
right,
there's this element of playfulness and rebellion.
Exactly. And there are all these other little moments, too, that just add to the absurdity of it all.
Give me some examples.
Well, there's Tanya and her squeaky bike.
The squeaky bike, what does that have to do with anything?
I don't know, but it's Tanya.
Okay. Moving on.
And then there's this whole thing with the fun police trying to get into Duxford.
They have trouble getting in.
Yeah, they're questioning what's normal.
Like what constitutes a normal entry procedure.
Right. And they're worried about upsetting the public.
But they're also worried about their boss.
Right. Classic bureaucratic dilemma.
Caught between a rock and a hard place.
And then there's this whole discussion about trust and corruption within the fun police.
Corruption within the fun police. That's a scary thought.
Right. Who's watching the Watchmen?
Is it an AI calling the shots or a human or some kind of committee?
We don't know. It's never really clear.
So there's this ambiguity about who's really in control.
Yeah. And then there's Dave doing the bee dance.
Or the bee dance. I need more context.
I don't have it. It's just Dave being Dave. And then there's Mike's outfit, which is apparently inappropriate.
Inappropriate how?
We don't know, but it's Mike.
Right.
And she makes this comment about a Benny Hill biopsy.
A Benny Hill biopsy. I'm not even going to ask.
And then there's Saul making a comment about how there's never any laughter around the fun police.
Which is kind of ironic, right?
Totally. And even something as simple as Mavis's biscuits gets a mention.
Mavis's biscuits. So there's like a domestic touch amidst all this chaos.
Exactly. It's like this little reminder of normalcy.
In a world gone mad.
Pretty much.
So we've got this clash of personalities, right?
Yeah.
This group of friends just trying to have a good time.
And these fun police who are determined to suck the joy out of everything.
And it's all happening against this backdrop of technological advancements.
Right, with Mike's 3D upgrade.
And the promise of VEO2.
And the whole thing just makes you wonder.
About what exactly?
About what fun really is.
And who gets to decide what's fun?
And are we becoming so obsessed with control
that we're losing sight of the simple joys in life?
And with all this new technology coming out, are we going to be able to hold on to those joys, or are they going to be regulated out of existence?
It's a question worth pondering, and maybe it'll make you think about your own life.
Right.
Like, what are your unnecessary aerial maneuvers?
What are those things that you do that bring you joy, even if other people might think they're silly or pointless?
And how can you hold on to those things in a world that's increasingly trying to control everything?
That's a great point to end on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the weird and wonderful world of fun.
And remember, don't let the fun police get you down.
Absolutely. Find your own joy and embrace it.
And who knows, maybe we'll see you in 3D soon.
That's right. Thanks again for listening.
Okay, that brings us to the end of another tongue-in-cheek production. And we have the chance to take the Got Friends Norden out for a group flight. Run VT.
Have you not been watching?
Sorry?
That's what they played during the podcast.
What do you mean they've already run it? Bloody amateurs.
Look, laddie, if I'm honest, we're on a personal day out, and it's bad enough when we have to see you at work without you bothering us while we are relaxing.
It's not our fault we've been booked for the day. And if we leave early, they dock our wages.
It's not personal we like you as actors, but the FP are just a bunch of
I think you mean a bunch of buttocks.
No, they're definitely arses.
So, I've read that this is almost like a drug, this zero-G. How would you describe it?
It's difficult because this is something I've been doing all my life. I learned to fly when I was 14, so I don't see it that way. The people that come along, they either love it or hate it, and the people that love it want to do more. And then we're airborne. What's that?
Yeah.
Right.
I think that's going to
Then back up backwards somersault.
that way, so. Right, okay.
So, step with the head.
Yeah.
Up, up, go. So, backwards.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god, that was fantastic!
Good, that was scary, wasn't it?
No, it was just... Oh, it was awesome! Oh my word! Wow! Oh my god, that's just the start of it as well.
And that was about 3G.
3G.
Yeah, this aeroplane can go up to 6. We don't very often, but
Okay.
the next thing we'll do is install 10. That's the one you saw earlier when the aeroplane goes straight up. And when we get to the top, we turn sideways and come straight down again.
Okay, so how are we climbing at what?
Vertical. So the first part's like the first quarter of the loop. So we'll get about the 3G, and then we'll go to 0G, depending on our strap to a bit, turn around, and then 3G on the exit.
Okay.
So we'll do that. We'll do that over the airfield. Captain entering the overhead from the south.
Captain ready to be 1001.
1001. So as we pull up, I'll remind you with the power on the left wing, and you'll see that we are actually going up vertically.
Okay, we're going at vertically.
So up we go. Get the power on the left wing. We'll pull up.
My god!
Going straight up.
Oh my god!
And then turn round, we look over the nose. We'll go straight down. And then ease out for the dive.
My lord! Oh my lord, that is just... Oh my god. Can I say something?
Yeah.
I'm not being rude.
That's alright.
I've read that it's a better sex.
I guess it depends who the text of your Oh, God! Oh, my word! Sorry! See me later. Oh, right. Right, the next thing we'll do is the 0G. So, you just hold your hands flattened and put flat on your hand. I'm sorry. And we're going to dive down to pick up some speed, pull up, and then I'll just push over the top and we'll float at the yellow sponge will float. So we'll just dive down to get some speed. Three. Oh my lord. Oh. There we just float over and stops. Great feeling, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a nice feeling. Actually, I think it's a better word to describe the knife. Oh my lord.
Okay, we'll go down and just do a run past the camera so you can wave at them.
I'm just wiping my brow. Oh my word.
As we fly lower, you'll find it fairly bumpy. Again, with the wind bouncing off those trees.
We're going down.
Yeah.
Oh.
It was good, but it doesn't last long.
Well, it's all the way, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay, if you look to the left, there's the camera and give them away.
Oh.
We'll just slow down and turn left.